those are things that you should pay for and write it out of your pocket, like you pay for an oil change in your car. You know, you buy automobile insurance to fix it when you're in a collision. You don't buy automobile insurance to pay for your oil change. That is essentially what an HMO is. So first of all, we've got to get back to the person receiving the service has to write the check. And then secondly, we need to get the decision making to the extent possible between the medical provider and the person receiving the medical service, and the insurance company kind of has to be secondary to that. Now, what's ironic, Sue, is you hear all of the complaining about the degree to which insurance companies are operating and running the system. That's because, in large part, of the government regulatory schemes that the insurance company with the government is kind of out here making these decisions in the ether, and you, the patient, and your physician are kind of sitting down there at their mercy. But that is not because we have a defective free market. It's because we don't let the free market work. It's the government intervention that's the problem.
Exactly. So many people don't understand that. You did a great job of explaining that, definitely. Let's talk about this global warming.
I'm for it.
Me
I live
too.
in Minnesota. If I believed in it, I'd never shut my Yukon on. Well, seriously, I mean, it's been fun, of course, being a critic of the global warming hysterics, to watch that house of cards start falling.
Isn't it beautiful?
With the revelations on the East
one
Anglia
thing
University.
after another.
It's just, it's become an absolute joke. Now, the unfortunate thing is many of the policies that we've put in place are going to be a little bit difficult to back out for a number of different reasons. For example, biofuel subsidies. Those kinds of things. Now, and this is where we're going to find out, are you a real free market person or aren't you? Is if I'm fortunate enough to win, have colleagues sitting in the Senate and over on the House side that will say, okay, these incentives were put in place for biofuels and other things, you know, whatever we're putting money into, windmills and other green energy alternatives, based on the premise that the world was burning up due to anthropogenic global warming. Now that we know it isn't, let's put that toothpaste back in the tube. I think that we'll have them lining up on the sides of the room on that issue, won't we?
Yes.
I'll tell you what side I'll be on.
And I'll be helping you guys from my radio show. It makes me so angry because when I ran against Governor Pawlenty, and I lost. Governor Pawlenty crushed me, but that's okay. It was a wonderful experience. And anyway, we had lunch, and I looked him square in the eye, and I said, Governor Pawlenty, nobody burns food for fuel. Nobody. And we kept investing in more ethanol and more, you pick it. It just drives me crazy. I consider the worst bill ever passed in the state of Minnesota, in the history of the state of Minnesota.
Well, that's saying something. I can't wait to hear this.
The 2007 cap and trade renewable energy, whatever you want to call the bill. It had some fancy schmancy, nice sounding name. And the one that followed in 2008, where it set renewable standards. It started cap and trade on the state level with other states, set up all the mechanisms in place. Please tell me you'll repeal those two pieces of legislation.
Oh, I would absolutely be on board. Now, of course, I can't do it alone.
I know.
We've got to have enough people in the Senate to get that done with me. Mm-hmm. And of course, we've got to have people with us over on the House side. And that's why this is such an incredibly critical election. But yeah, you know me. I mean, I'm a believer that free markets ought to dictate how energy is found. I simply am convinced of that. And you mentioned the food thing. One of my favorite books, America's 30 Years War, written by an immigrant who came to America, talks about compartmentalized brain syndrome, where people don't relate this thing over here to this thing over here. People don't understand we have a world food supply. And if you are making corn into petroleum, it's not getting into the world food supply. Mm-hmm. Now, I cannot point to you and specifically say we know for a fact that there has been this level of starvation or deprivation in some of these third world countries. I don't have that data, but simple economic theory tells you that if you're using acreage to grow crops that you then burn in your vehicle instead of putting them into the world food supply to bring prices down, because let's remember, for us here in America, price of corn goes up a little bit. Most of us find a way to handle it. It can literally be life or death if you're in Haiti. And so the other irony of all this is the very same people who would say they're so concerned about the little people and starvation and the poor and the this, then advocate for policies so that we can feel good about what we're doing for the environment that can literally cost dying people food. It's a serious matter.
People just don't realize it. We're down to our last few minutes here. So first of all, if somebody wants more information on you, how would they go find it?
DaveThompsonForSenate.com. And I use my first name because my last name is so common. There's probably another Thompson out there running for Senate somewhere. So DaveThompsonForSenate.com. Also, I've got a fan page on Facebook. If you go look up Dave Thompson for Senate District 36, you'll find me.
I'm already a fan.
I know you are, but I just those out there, yes. I saw you.
The folks in Lakeville, Farmington, and the townships down towards Northfield, they're really lucky to have you running. So you're getting down here. Tell those people why they should cast their vote for you.
Well, first off, I know the area. I've lived at my current house for 12 years, 12 years this last month. I share their values and beliefs. I mean, I've gotten myself into the community, and I know how people feel down there, and I think that I represent well their viewpoints. But primarily, I think what people are looking for now is obviously a common philosophy, and I think I by and large fit the district well. But I'll do what I say. I simply will. I really will not worry about re-election. I believe me, you know, being in the business I was in for a while, you take the slings and arrows, it doesn't bother you. And I believe strongly in my principles, and I'll vote to back them, period. I think you can be confident and believe strongly in your principles and disagree without being disagreeable.
Right.
And one of the things that I tried to do on the radio, and obviously politics is a different business, but I think in this area it's analogous, and that is I had lots of people that called and disagreed with me, and I tried to do the best that I can, so long as they were civil,
right,
and treating me decently, to be open and listen to what they had to say. People have changed my mind. I'm not right on everything all the time. I'll give you a good fight, but I will listen to your viewpoint, and certainly I will do the same thing at the Capitol. I will respect the people that I'm serving with, even those on the other side of the aisle, so long as they're deserving of respect. And how I define that is they have a set of principles that they believe in, and they adhere to them, and they do things because they believe it, not for political reasons. And so while I will be strong, because that's my nature, I can be civil. Again, I think we can disagree without being disagreeable, and we should on policy matters. That's how it ought to work.
Mm-hmm. Leadership. I feel like so many people have just been struggling to find leadership. There just don't seem to be many leaders.
Yeah, well, and let's face it, the Senate's been tough for the Republicans. There's just no doubt about that. I mean, when you don't even have enough numbers to sustain a gubernatorial veto, that's discouraging, and that's been difficult. We hope that we're going to get a lot closer now in this election, and we've got some very good candidates out there.
Very good candidates. Think about this. The Senate, we haven't had control since the 1970s sometime, but in the House since 2002 and now, we've had a 70-seat swing.
I know. It's incredible.
70-seat swing.
It's
that
incredible.
Is absolutely unbelievable.
Well, if you look back, I mean, guys like Phil Krinke and others got beat by such small numbers. If my memory serves, I think it was just over 50 votes he lost by. So, you know, so these are districts that can go back and forth one way or the other. But the point is, you can't quit because you're in the minority. You have to keep making the arguments, right, and you have to keep hammering the principles and hammering the ideas and try to at least get what you can from the other side. And frankly, it is a big step to at least get to a point where you can sustain a veto. I mean, obviously, we believe we're going to do that in spades and hopefully much better.
Much better. And I want to say, every seat is winnable.
Just ask Massachusetts.
Best of luck to you, Dave
Thanks,
Thompson.
Sue. Pleasure
Thank
being
you.
here. Appreciate the opportunity.